Okay, good morning, everybody. It is almost the end of January. It is January 24th, 2026. How are we all doing today? We opened up the song with Sabaton's The Tiger Amongst Dragons, singing about everybody's favorite treacherous blockhead, ancient Chinese warlord Lu Bu. You know, he and Skypiercer and red hair. Do not pursue Lu Bu, those of you who are fans of Dynasty Warriors would know. It's astounding how none of my students know the slightest of what I'm talking about when I bring this up. We haven't gotten to the Chinese warlord era yet in class. We're still in the midst of World War One. But yeah, it seemed pretty fitting because, as the title of this stream says, Bruce Leung he's no longer with us. We'll get to that in a little while. But yeah, Biff Stankovic asks, music from Greenland. No. Sabaton is Swedish. This is from the new album Legends, singing about famous folk heroes and such. Tony Gilbert asks if I have got any snow yet. No, we have not gotten it yet. We're predicting an absolute, punishing blizzard, but nothing has come yet, which makes me seem like a bit of a jackass when I had to cancel my saxophone lesson yesterday. I was going to go teach a lesson, and then I canceled, and then nothing happened. Yes, people are freaking out, and, I'm part of me suspecting nothing's going to happen, which is going to make us all look really stupid. But, yeah, we'll see what happens. Anyway, speaking of stupid crap happening, there's a lot of stupid crap happening. Let's stick with the Oriental theming for a second. Going from Lu Bu to another legend of Asiatic violence. The Iron Man himself, Genghis Khan, Temujin, the king of the world. I know this is technically pop culture, but it's also kind of political. Basically, it's science, it's pop culture, it's politics, it's a little bit of everything. In a live interview on Mongolian television, two descendants of Genghis Khan, one wearing a suit, the other wearing a pullover sweater and jeans, they get into a fist fight over who is more directly related. So, they're kind of arguing. One guy looks, pretty well put together. The guy in the suit, the guy in the sweater looks a little slovenly. He looks like he, drinks a lot and probably does a mediocre job of being a carpenter or something. But yeah, they just go at it. They're fighting. I don't speak Mongolian. I don't know what they're saying. Yeah, they argue over their DNA evidence. The sweater guy shoves the other guy. The suit guy throws a left hook, and then they just go. They're just slugging. The sweater guy kind of seems to get the best of the exchange. Despite suit man throwing the first punch. And all this over who's more directly related to one of like three people your country of note has ever produced. I guess I can understand why this would happen. But seems a bit silly is all. But then again, say what you will, I guess it is nice that Mongolia doesn't denigrate and shame its, founders and cultural heroes, unlike we do in this country. But, and also, then again, I'm pretty sure this is exactly what the great times 30 grandpa would have approved of. Fun fact, almost 2% of the entire planet's population can directly trace themselves to, the gang man, Genghis Khan. So it seems like a bit of a moot point to get into a fist fight over this. Anyway, I found it pretty amusing. Tony Gilbert, referring to the Chinese warlord era, says it's crazy they made a .45 caliber broom handle. Yes, Forgotten Weapons he actually kind of like, it's sort of like autistic focus on the Chinese warlord era, so he does like profiles of those weapons. There's a pretty interesting like knockoff Mausers and things. The Wowzer broom handle. Tony Gilbert says the Mongols are still fighting over that seat. He says, I can think of only two, Khan and that sumo guy who reached Yokozuna. Yes, it was a bit scandalous a few years ago. Mongolians were doing very successful in the sumo wrestling. Yeah, I gotta say, Sweater Khan, he was landing some pretty good punches there in the fight. So I would give the throne to him based on just trial by combat, so to speak. Yeah, so you got Genghis and I don't know, Jeff Khan or something fighting it out. But yeah, like I said, 2% of the world's population is directly related to the man, so it seems like a bit of a moot point. Unless you're going to have a tournament where they all kind of fight to be his heir. So says a comment in the thread. The guy in the suit probably comes from, Kublai Khan, if you catch my drift. Yes, if you remember the Marco Polo show, Kublai was worried about his son, going soft, getting, too civilized, getting too Chinese. Got to be like, it did back in the old days. Clearly, those fears were founded. Hey. Tony Gilbert says he wrote a book about it too. Shinseki Evans says Madeline Khan. I mean, she may very well be a descendant of the great Khan. Yes, I'm sure there's quite a connection between, Eastern European Jews like her and the Mongolians. But yes, I think he would approve of this, to be quite honest. Genghis, of course, started the conquest of China. His grandson was the one who actually finished the job. They actually went through 5 Khans before they finished the job. 2 of them were actually assassinated by China, but that's a whole different issue. Yeah, Genghis, he preferred to sleep in, his horsehide tent. Kublai slept in the palace, so clearly one stuck with the old ways and the other one did not. Anyway, leaving behind Mongolian politics, let's talk about American politics, because there's a bunch of stupid things that happen here, as always. Okay. The Secretary of the Treasury, Scott Bessent, that is Trump's treasurer, he had some very choice words to say about California Governor Gavin Newsom. Some people are predicting that this sunk Newsom's presidential campaign. Scott Bessent basically says the same thing that I've always said, that Governor Newsom looks like Patrick Bateman. More specifically, Scott Bessent directly said, okay, again, these are not my opinions. These opinions are not the opinion of Larsen, Halleck, or the Barbaric Gentleman. I'm just reporting on what other people said. I mean, I have no opinion on Gavin Newsom. None at all. Scott Bessent says, Governor Newsom strikes me as Patrick Bateman meets Sparkle Beach Ken. Might be the only Californian who knows less about economics than Kamala Harris. I'm directly transcribing Scott Bessent's comments. Here he is with his billionaire sugar daddy, Alex Soros, at Davos, the perfect place for a man who has $1,000 a night meals while he has people arrested for going to, restaurants and churches. I plan on cracking down on waste, fraud, and abuse. Here he is hobnobbing with the global elites while his California citizens are still homeless. Shame on him. I mean, I'm not going to impugn Mr. Newsom's politics, but he does have some, purely in the physical sense, he has Bateman vibes. I'm going to assume Governor Newsom is not a violent sociopath, but he has that sort of, Burberry wearing slick back hair look, which is not to say it's a bad look. just raises some concerns is all. Okay, Shinseki Evans says, remember how Michelle Yeoh used to be Michelle Khan? I had no idea that she was called Michelle Khan. Personally, I like Khan from King of the Hill, but that's a whole different issue. Tony Gilbert says they have to find a way around that wall. They sure did. Tony Gilbert says, the Ottomans, that's a funny picture right there. Tony Gilbert says, Cali is fucked. Did you hear Del Monte is closing now? All the big companies are going bankrupt or fleeing. I had no idea that Del Monte was closing. Seems to me, yeah, I don't know. California is basically Elysium, and the fact that they blew it, who's they? I'm not going to say. I want to keep things politically neutral here. But yes, they blew it. You have some of the most fertile land on the planet, beautiful shorefront property, and in one generation, just down the crapper. Also, yes, Scott Bessent was not, in fact, just making, random references. Sparkle Beach Ken is actually a Mattel product. Okay, moving on from California, going to wherever the hell she's from. Okay. Politician Jasmine Crockett, campaigning for Senate, goes through a variety of accents during her senatorial campaign. At a hip-hop show, she puts on full-on AAVE, African-American Vernacular English. My homeboy said, listen, I'm a be in your city. I'm about this life. She went to a $40,000 a year private school when she was a teenager. She is not, in fact, about this life. Then, whilst campaigning in Texas, she wore cowboy hats and tried to act like a down-home country girl. She is neither of those things, actually. I mean, this is hardly something unique to her. This happens quite a lot, actually. And I'll just say it, in particular amongst the Democrats. I mean, and the Republicans do this too, but really with the Democrats in particular, they always do this, putting on, sort of ethnic accents that they don't actually have to try to show that they're, down with the people. I would say I feel like people wouldn't respect that, but I feel like a lot of people do. Okay, Jasmine Crockett is in fact from Texas. But yes, when you see clips of her from 2021, 2022, she doesn't do this, dare I say, ratchety accent. So in the last couple of years, she started doing that. And Republicans do this too. They don't really put on accents per se. Actually, no, I take that back. They will do this. Actually, George W. Bush literally hired an accent coach to get a Texas accent. His family's literally from Maine. But yeah, also Republicans, they'll just play shitty, bar guitar. Try to be down with, the people who drive snowplows and tractors for a living. I hate to break it to you, they're not down. They will never be down with you. Okay. Dave Slankovich says, great Trump speech at Davos. I mean, to be fair, I did see European commentators saying Trump's 70% right here, and that the United States does, to a large extent, bankroll a lot of what Europe does, and that's basically true. They really don't like being reminded of that. Okay, Tony Gilbert says, my state's cooked too. How do you blow $3 billion besides me? I don't know how they do it, but they do. Bill Slankovich says, 2 Jack Smith out to the public. Tony Gilbert makes a comment about my cartoon and my meme reel about old people waving their wieners around in the locker room. And when you get that old, you don't give a damn anymore. Yes, they do fake Southern accents, Republican politicians. But yes, Jasmine Crockett does not, in fact, be about that life. She is not, in fact, living the thug life. She's pretty damn far from the thug life. Even though she likes to pretend otherwise. I'm sure Hillary Clinton will give her some advice on, carrying hot sauce in her purse because, black people be eating hot sauce. I mean, I eat hot sauce too. It's kind of my default condiment. I'm about as far as you can get from a black person, but I do like the hot sauce. So, according to the Democratic National Convention, I am authentically black. Tony Gilbert says, when's the Kung Fail coming back? Well, I have 2 jobs that I do most of the week. Like, I do have things planned. Like, during the summer, I do want to do more scripted videos. I just don't have much time for it right now. Alternatively, once I get tenure at school, this is my 3rd year, so if things go right, in 1 more year, I shall have tenure. And then I'll have more time to make videos because I can officially stop giving a shit. Nah, kidding, of course. I'm still going to, care about the students. I'm just going to assign less work, which means less grading, which means more videos for me. Okay. Oh, yeah, speaking of California, those U-turn signs? Yeah, apparently those are offensive to the LGBTQ community somehow. Like the U-turn with the, cross out. How is this offensive? I genuinely have no idea. Let's look up as to why that is the case. Why do U-turn signs offend LGBTQ people? Meanwhile, trending in the United States is the term executed. Who got executed? I don't know. We shall see. But first, let's look up this stupid road sign nonsense. Okay. No U-turn and no cruising signs are considered offensive. They were explicitly used to profile, target, and restrict gay men. Okay. Also, basically, colloquially, amongst the gay community, U-turn and cruising signs were placed on streets that were known as, hotspots for, getting down. Again, I question if these were explicitly used to profile gay people, but whatever. Okay, Tony Gilbert says, once you get your tenure, you're untouchable. My professor smacked the kid and they did nothing but move the kid. Fun times. I mean, you can technically lose your job if you have tenure. You just gotta mess up really bad to get fired if you're a high school teacher with tenure. Like I was talking to some people and there was like one teacher who was having sex with a student. Yeah, they fired his ass. There was another teacher who had a porn tab open up when he did PowerPoint, and yeah, he got fired. So you can get fired with tenure. Just got to try really hard. I will say this. I will absolutely never even consider having sex with an underage student. Like, I'm not about that. I'm not about sex with underage girls. There is a slight chance that I might punch a student in the face. But, yeah, sex, no. Punching, yes. Bislank says, Newsom is seeking money for a new book, Young Mania. Hurry. I don't think Gavin Newsom needs the money. He comes from a very wealthy family, no matter how much he insists he's from a broken home. I mean, technically it was a broken home. His parents were divorced, but they were billionaires who got divorced. Yes, Tony Gilbert, I agree that the no cruising thing is a bit silly. Okay, let's see. Okay, so there's not one specific thing that they are referring to executed about. Some people are talking about prisoners in the United States. Some people are talking about the Iranian protests. There's stuff going on. Okay, let's keep going on with the news. Let's see what we have here. There's more American political news, because there always is. Okay, let's talk about some technology news. OpenAI has posted some quarterly reports. They are not good. OpenAI is in the red. People are predicting that it will run out of money by 2027. They have vastly overestimated the profitability of AI. Recent analyses and internal projections indicate annual losses of around $14 billion in 2026, which is more than the $8 billion lost in 2025. Okay, they are making money, but just the expenses are much more than the revenue. I mean, I can't say I'm particularly surprised at this. Has anybody done anything truly great with AI beyond just slacking off at work? And I'm not gonna lie, like on occasion, if I'm up late and I don't know what to do for a homework assignment in class, I'll just say, yeah, fuck it, just use Chat GPT. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. On occasion, I will do that. I try not to, but if I have to, I will. I'll be like, hey, ChatGPT, give me a, high school level assignment on the Napoleonic Wars or whatever. Of course, the school wouldn't let me watch Master and Commander in class, but that's neither here nor there. I usually do watch a movie in the last week or two of class in the summertime. Just because they really don't care at that point in school. And, since the war on terror is basically the last unit I do in global studies, that means I have a perfectly good excuse to watch The Man Who Would Be King in class. I like that movie. Most of the kids don't. Tony Gilbert says, I need to Captain Caveman a fool in class. Well, if I have to, I will. Tony Gilbert approves of AI going away. The robots need to go. Didn't they watch Terminator? Yes. I mean, when you get down to it, AI is basically a glorified, Google search. I mean, the profitability has always been overstated, I think. And I think it does have its place, just not what everybody thinks it is. Like, for starters, I really despise the idea that you're using AI to make like artwork and drawings and stuff. Automation is supposed to make our work lives easier so we can have time for creativity and music and art. Instead, it's the exact opposite. We use AI for creativity so we can have more time to work. Incidentally, in class, I, it's very obvious when the students use AI because they can't write worth of crap, and then all of a sudden they become Shakespeare. But, I can't prove it, so I can't do anything about it. Unless they literally leave the AI prompt in the assignment, which they occasionally do. The AI is basically a glorified Google search. Then again, many jobs in the American economy today are basically glorified Google searches. Tony Gilbert says, make him watch Gettysburg. Well, if I was teaching American history, I would. Sadly, I am not. Sorry, I just got a text. Trending in the United States, Ozzy Fudd. It's a college basketball player. Wait, no, it's a women's basketball player. A college women's basketball player. Okay, moving on to more political news. The Make America Healthy Again initiative is still ongoing. And remember how Triple H was going to be the fitness czar? He is the fitness czar. He made a Twitter post. My fitness journey. Okay, I'm going to stop doing that. Started when I was 14. Yours can start today. Thanks, Paul. He went from a 130-pound weakling to a world champion. We all must get this country fit. Once again, it would be nice if President Trump could, be part of this. He's not going to. Kind of like how the Saudi royal family doesn't wear, the clothing they're supposed to have. But, yes, we all must get fit. Childhood obesity rates have hit an alarming 270% increase. Oh boy, he wrote this article. He didn't just say it. He wasn't just interviewed. He wrote it on Fox News. I went from 130 pounds to a world champ. We all must get fit. WWE star reveals how Trump tapped him to revive the presidential fitness test. Written by Paul Levesque. Opinion piece, January 17th, 2026. Okay, now if you'll excuse me, I'm just going to mist coffee all over my window. Okay, let's see what the human water sprinkler has to say. At 14, I was 6 feet tall, 130 pounds soaking wet and pimply faced. That was the year I joined the gym. My mother said she would drive me at this gym not far from my house in Nashua, New Hampshire, as long as I kept my grades up. Okay, I will never forget the sounds that greeted me as I walked through the door. Clank of weights, plates, loaded machine, grunting. There's powerful stuff happening here. The older guys encouraged me, giving me tips on everything from technique to nutrition. I was hooked. Working out illuminated a destination. I'm not suggesting that you become a WWE superstar or even an athlete. You do you. A fitness regimen of any kind will help you get there. I'm imploring you and your children to start right now. It'll make you better, sharper, healthier. Okay, this will mark the 70th anniversary of the President Council on Sports, Fitness, and Nutrition. It was founded by Dwight Eisenhower. Okay, we will encourage all Americans to be healthy, stronger, and more active. Okay, yes. Okay. The kids eat supersized portions of ultra-processed food, spend too much time in their asses looking at screens. They don't play outside anymore. Okay, then there's a picture of Triple H and John Cena. They're trying really hard to make John Cena look like he has a full head of hair here. Okay, we got to reverse this calamity, set examples as a parent, etc. Okay, if all that matters is that you try. Well, I mean, he's certainly not wrong. And, it does fill my heart with glee to read reports from, the world wars about what physical specimens the average American soldier was back then. And now that's not the case. The Prussian physician said, as purely physical specimens, I've never seen better soldiers than the Americans. But clearly that's not the case anymore. And, I suppose he means well, but I think Mr. Levesque is leaving out a few things. Yes, the comments were humorous. Your piss would come out the same color as your Titantron. Stop trying to fool people into thinking you're a health guru. The fitness journey in question, injections. Then your heart exploded when NXT lost in the ratings to AEW. And so on and so forth. I mean, clearly he is off the steroids now. There's a viral picture of him at the beach where he's got a bit of a gut going. I mean, all things considered, it doesn't look bad for a guy who's almost 60 years old. But, it would be nice if he would just admit that he, not exactly clean. Yes, there's more than a few pictures comparing him on and off steroids. And fun fact, during his the peak of his steroid use, let's say around 2002, 2003, he literally had lats that were so big it made his, how do I put this? His lats and shoulders were so wide, he looked like he had, weird T-Rex arms that couldn't fully, straighten out. Just, giant refrigerator torso with, arms that were stuck at a 45-degree angle. But I'm sure that that just comes from, working out when you're 14 years old. A-H. Yes, kids, you too can start your fitness journey at the age of 14. And then sleep with the boss's daughter at the age of 30 and inherit the company. Also, fun fact. The WWE, I think it was the E at that point. It makes me disgusted to say E, but nonetheless. They went up to Scott Steiner and they were like, hey man, we need you to take a steroid test. And Scott Steiner said, tell you what, how about you and me, we get Triple H, we'll go pee in cups right next to each other, then you can test us at the same time. They did not do those, they never did that test again. Alright, Tony Gilbert says, make him watch 1917. Any World War I movie will do. I show clips from Lawrence of Arabia and stuff. Tony Gilbert says, LOL Triple H. He pulled his hamstring again. Don't ask about the injections. Oh, he doesn't pull his hamstring. He tears his hamstrings and his quads. Quadricep tears like that are almost only found in heavy steroid users. That's why I love the Macho Man. He admitted to doing it. He told kids not to do it. Ooh, yeah. Yes. Yes, this man is not natural. Okay. Let's see what we have going on over here. See, I think we're approaching the end of things in terms of real news. Okay, let's see. What do we have? Okay. Let's see what we have. Okay, a TikTok goes a bit viral, in which a a black guy is going around and he's comparing black people putting items back versus white people putting items back. See, black people put shit away like this, and white people do shit like this. It's just the age-old, bog standard comedy routine. He depicts white people as putting items back where they belong, and black people not doing so. People are upset about this. Some people say he's mocking his own community. Some people say he's mocking white people. Perhaps he's just making fun of our foibles as cultures. I think people are taking this way too seriously. But yes, in general, please put your items back in the grocery store. Put the shopping cart back. I'm pretty sure this guy does put the items back properly. And we all should. All people of all colors. Okay. Tony Gilbert says, I met Scott Steiner. He owned the Shoney's in Georgia. He's actually nice. Yes, I did know he owned a Shoney's. Yes, I'm sure he's a nice person when he's not, being Scott Steiner on TV. Tony Gilbert says, me and Gene had a burger spot too. It was decent, but I never met him. Yeah, I never actually attended any professional wrestler restaurants. I am told that I do know people who have been to both the WWF Times Square in New York and the WCW Grill in Las Vegas, and they said they were both pretty good. Fortunately, they closed long before I would have ever had a chance to go there. Of course, the WCW Grill closed in 2001 with the rest of the company. Thank you, Jamie Kellner, for ruining everything. The Times Square restaurant closed, I don't know, sometime. I don't know. Hey, what else do we have going on? Let's see. Oh, yes, let's go to the UK for a second. Speaking of stupid crap. From Reddit, Legal Advice UK. I am a secondary school teacher in England. I guess that would be high school. I've offended a whole bunch of parents. There's complaints made about me. I have to be vague to protect my identity. Okay. I've discussed doing a chess club. I brought in my collection of chess boards I've acquired over the years, and I started a chess club in class. Most people didn't know how to play chess. That's fine. I taught them how to play. We did this for 3 lessons, and everybody seemed to get into it. What I didn't realize, and I didn't know, was that chess is forbidden, haram, for about a third of my class. 6 parents are complaining to the headmaster and headmistress for teaching and encouraging them to play chess. I don't know what the problem is. The headmaster is furious with me. There's going to be a formal disciplinary hearing in the coming days. I've been employed here for the past 3 years. I'm not a member of the teachers' union. Okay. Can I please get some advice on this? Yes, chess is haram, apparently. Why is chess bad? Also, apparently Orthodox Jews were also really upset about this too. Chess is offensive. Chess, a sport that was invented in India, was popularized in Persia, and then spread to Europe from there. This is apparently against their culture. Fun fact, there's nothing actually in Islamic scripture that says chess and board games are forbidden. So, why is this haram? I don't know. Some people say it is gambling, which is in fact prohibited by Islamic jurisprudence. Again, it's only gambling if you're wagering something. It's just a game if you're not wagering. I mean, I would assume that, personally, Islam is very strict on, figurative representations it's why they don't draw, like, people and stuff in their artwork. But, again, you got to try pretty hard to look at chess pieces and think, like, these are representing people. Some theorize this is what happens when you import retarded inbred village idiots imaginable. They literally don't even know what their own religion says. They just jump to the most, bog standard dark age moron interpretation of it. Yeah. Tony Gilbert says the WCW grill was good. So is WWE Niagara Falls. Okay, England's so proper doesn't help shit. It's worse off, but Ireland has the worst, sadly. I mean, all the Five Eyes, Anglosphere is just going down the shitter, and I include the United States in that, by the way. You can't have competition between them, only against us. Yeah, I don't understand the logic here. But yeah, what I think it is that, like, these, inbred morons have kids and they go to school and they teach the kids to play chess, and the kids come home talking about, a game with knights and kings and queens and, horsemen and bishops. And the, Mongoloid parents have panic attacks thinking this is some kind of, Frankish crusader, like, Icona duel, haram stuff. And, yeah, chess is not good. Now, I guess you can. I guess this is what happens when, obviously the people who are intelligent and successful will not be coming to other countries and immigrating out of their country. At least in this case. Okay, but boy, it's a hell of a lifestyle to be a fundamentalist Muslim. No music, no dancing, no alcohol, no parties, no board games. What exactly can you do for fun? I mean, I've been to, like, Turkish cafes, not in Turkey, but manned by Turks, and yeah, they're playing chess and backgammon and all kinds of games. Someone should ask these alleged scholars, like, you say chess is bad, but is backgammon okay? Like, I know Arab countries, they love them some backgammon. Shinseki Evans says, didn't they have some big chess tournament in Saudi Arabia a few years ago? A brave European girl refused to go because hijabs were required. Tony Gilbert says, you can't look at any skin either. I would gouge my eyes out. Tony Gilbert says, I tried to give a guy food at my American birthday party. He couldn't eat. I was like, nah, you gotta go. Shinseki Evans says, Jehovah's Witnesses are also a no fun allowed religion. I'm curious as to how those people don't just leave in droves. Also, fun fact, I think I talked about this last week, but people from actual, like, officially Muslim countries are like, I don't like coming to England. These people are too extreme, like Muslims for me. So yeah, I don't know why England seems to get just the absolute creme de la crap of the Muslim world. I guess we got to play Go or something. Or some kind of board game that doesn't have any, like, figurative representation. And meanwhile, me, I'm just trying to get 4 people together to play some Dungeons and Dragons. But that's a whole different story. I've been toying with some, little campaign ideas, characters, and things. And I haven't found a way to use these yet. Okay, Tony Gilbert says, don't get me started on the Jehovah's Witnesses. It's my birthday. Fuck you. The witnesses closed the temple in my town. But yes, I am genuinely curious as to what people like this do for fun. Since, I know, like, for a fact, like, the more extreme ones literally don't even watch, like, movies and stuff because, you can't have, like, pictorial representations of people. So, yeah, like, you can't watch movies, you can't watch TV, you can't play board games, you can't play music, you can't dance, you can't sing, you can't drink alcohol. You probably can't play sports because the outfits are too skimpy. Just miserable, miserable life, that is. Okay, leaving the Muslim world, which I think the UK officially is now, and going to the Hindu world, India. There's been some doings transpiring about elephants. Namely, elephants have been getting a bit angry. Just to say, there's a killer elephant on the loose in India. It is probably a young male going through the must cycle, which is basically during the mating season. Elephants will see 60 times increase in testosterone production. You can tell because they have this sort of like leaking kind of jizz coming out of their ears or whatever. Not jizz, but a thick tar-like secretion near their ears from a gland. Must comes from the Urdu term for intoxication. This has been known in Asian elephants for thousands and thousands of years, was only described in African elephants by 1981. So basically, what happens is they excrete the glands. Okay, they have average 60 times greater levels of testosterone. In some cases, as much as 150 times as much as testosterone, as it will at a baseline level. And basically, what do elephants do during must? They proceed to lose their shit. It is linked to higher levels of sexual arousal and dominance establishment. They produce a characteristic low pulsating rumble, the must rumble. People can hear from miles away. It basically gets the elephant cow, gets their ginies to tingle. In some cases, it intimidates other bulls. Okay, they're extremely dangerous at this point. They dig their tusks. They get into fights. They will kill other animals, including rhinos. Okay. So basically, this happens with wild and domesticated elephants. It is also theorized that it occurred in woolly mammoths and other proboscides. So what do you do when your elephant is in must? Well, basically, you tie it down to a really strong tree and starve it, which shortens the duration of the must. Sometimes sedatives. That seems a bit needlessly cruel. And needless elephant cruelty might, in fact, be the cause of what happened here. So yeah, this elephant was just freaking out. He killed 22 people in India on a 10-day rampage. As we see videos of people running for their lives. Yes. Now, it is said elephants, they don't forget. Elephants will, in fact, remember a face. If you mistreat them, you will be hurt. To be more specific, elephants, like I said, they remember things. It's worth noting that elephants that are domesticated in India, despite the fact that they allegedly worship elephants, they're often not treated well. There are many reports of elephants, being hit with sticks or being otherwise attacked by, people. Literally, like, there's a video right now of an elephant being attacked by two cretins with, with a stick. So both cretins have sticks, actually. These are actually Bangladeshi Muslims, brutally assaulting an elephant just because elephants are worshipped by Hindus. Therefore, elephants themselves must suffer. Certainly, I don't approve of this. Anyway, yeah. So basically, elephants will often be smacked around with sticks to train them, and elephants will sometimes fight back. There's a video here of an elephant basically being hit with a stick, prodded by some dingus, and the elephant just shoulder checks him, then proceeds to stomp on him, nice and slow, stomping on his knees. He then bends the guy forward, strokes his neck with his trunk, and then proceeds to step on his neck and his hips. Just nice and slow, putting his weight on him. And, boy, that elephant enjoyed that one. Just stomping this guy out, literally. I mean, elephants are certainly very intelligent creatures. They undoubtedly recognize somebody who mistreats them. But to be fair, the majority of elephant attacks in India are from wild elephants. Like, if you remember, a couple years ago, an elephant killed a woman and then waited for her to have a funeral, and then it attacked her corpse. It literally dragged her corpse out of the coffin and then stomped on it again. Since elephants are such intelligent creatures, they have memories, they have vengeance. These animals understand the concept of revenge, and something's really pissed them off about it. Okay. So some people theorize that elephants have like corridors that they, walk on to the watering hole or whatever, and the good people of India will plant fields in their way. The elephants will trample the crops, and the farmers will take vengeance. Here's another headline from 2022. Elephants in India get revenge on a man who killed an elephant calf. Yes, some researchers also theorize that elephants are able to classify different human ethnic groups. So, I certainly hope elephants aren't racist. I think they're just, remembering individuals who kind of upset them. I just gotta say, in this particular instance, I'm kind of supporting the elephants here. Okay, let's see what we have going on here. Okay, some religions are weird. The Amish are weird, but they can build a house. Yes, they can. Okay, I'd be angry too what they do with those animals. Yes, the rut. It said the rhinos have enough to deal with. The Chinese take their horns. Yeah, I can't say I approve of that. I've always thought, like, with this whole rhino horn thing, I mean, the horns are just made out of keratin, right? It's basically like fingernails. What if you went to a nail salon, just got all the fingernails, kind of melted them down, and made, like, a fake rhino horn, and you sold it? Like, would that work? I mean, I'm not, like, a chemist or anything. I feel like you could do that. All right, let's see what else we have. Okay, in some positive news in the United States, American overdose deaths have dropped in the past couple of years, suggesting lasting improvements in an epidemic that has been worsening for decades. So, yes, the fentanyl crisis is still around, but it's not as bad as it once was. Why is this happening? Well, I mean, I guess deporting fentanyl traffickers and bombing Venezuela might have, helped things a bit. Yeah, it's a mystery, all right. Could it be climate change, perhaps? I mean, it's not entirely Trump's success here. It did start declining after Biden. So, maybe people are just wising up. I mean, I doubt it, but it could be the case. Okay, I think we're going to get to more of the silly side of things. If you'll allow me to open up some, things here. So, what happened in the Twitter sphere? Okay, on January 18th, there was a gathering of absolute morons. The right wingosphere, the idiots, and I quote, Nick Fuentes, Sneeko, the Tate brothers, Andrew and Tristan, Clavicular, Myron and Justin Waller, I have no idea who those last three guys are, they arrive at a club, looking like the barely closeted gay boys they are. They're playing Kanye West's banned song, the one that is allegedly about Hitler. Drew Pavlou says it best. If Hitler came back in time and he saw this group of mixed-race young gay men chanting his name and throwing up Heil Hitlers, he would probably kill himself again. Well said. Seriously, who is Myron and Clavicular and Justin Waller? I don't know who these people are. I mean, I don't keep abreast of the, chutosphere. But, these are staggeringly unimpressive people. There's a meme of a really dejected-looking Hitler saying, I have this nightmare that my legacy is being carried on by two retards and a gay Mexican. Yes. Well said. Okay. Yes. And of course, at the club, some girl tried to dance with Nick Fuentes, and he was like, nah, I'm all right. Yeah, I'm not entirely surprised that happened. Okay. Let me see if I can find the exact thing that I was referring to specifically. Oh, yes. They're at the club. They're having their little fruity night here. Clavicular, whoever that is, suggests, why don't we talk to some of these girls? Nick Fuentes looks visibly disgusted. Well, I mean, those women are like, females, so, I'm sure Nick Fuentes is very much against that whole concept. Yes, this is apparently Nick Fuentes' first time at any club. Why does anybody listen to this man? In a group of just pathetic cretins, I genuinely think Nick Fuentes is the most pathetic of all of them. I mean, I'm not entirely surprised that Mr. Fuentes, has never been to a club. I mean, I'm not a big club kid myself, but I've been dragged to clubs more than a few times by, the broads. But then again, I am a big boy who's, done things with my life other than just sitting in a, befouled computer chair eating McDonald's and living with my cat boy. Like Mr. Fuentes does. Yeah, this is just a bad look all around. Okay. Tony Gilbert says they're doing that and dyeing them pink now. Oh, they are actually doing that, like, fake, rhino horn thing. I'm subbed to a channel that protects the elephants. Okay. Tony Gilbert says they play the song about the mustache, man. I don't like that. And the guy they paid to got fired. It's messed up. He sounds like a bad Roman senator. He said clubs are too dangerous now unless it's in Florida. Then you're okay. I mean, the only clubs I've been to were in New York City. I mean, we did scope the place out, so it wasn't, like, too bad. But yeah, like, I'm not a big club guy myself. But, I mean, if you put a gun to my head, I can, dance a bit if I have to. Okay, moving on from the pop culture side. And by the way, I can't really see the guy's face in this little right-wing gay boy, like, meeting. But, yeah, nice pink suit, idiot. Speaking of terrible fashion sense, there's this image here. Just allow me to open this up. Okay. There is a young fellow who went a bit viral based on his prom outfit. What kind of prom outfit is it? I don't know. It's kind of silly. It's like not quite a tuxedo. It's like some kind of like weird leisure suit, but he has like a mask. It's just look at this crap. POV, yo, school has prom today. That is not a point of view shot. But seriously, I guess I'm not down with the kids. What the hell is this? Somebody says it's crazy to go to prom in a bedazzled shiesty. Is that what they're calling balaclavas nowadays? Shiesty? Okay, yes, a shiesty is a balaclava full-face ski mask. Popeye is a fashion accessory by rapper Pooh Shiesty in the early 2020s. It is a slang term for shady, untrustworthy behavior. I think I mentioned the pee-pee poo-poo man once on the stream. Again, why would anybody ever willingly refer to themselves as the Pooh Shiesty? But yeah, this is a very stupid look. He's wearing a baby blue suit, baby blue leisure suit, and sneakers, and a turtleneck, and a chain, and his shiesty mask. Tony Gilbert says the only club I went to was CBGB. They try to kill you in the pit. I don't think I've been there specifically. I don't remember where I went to. I know it was in Brooklyn. The turbo bitch I was engaged to a long time ago. She liked to go to the club. We went there one night. But yeah, I don't remember the name of it. Tony Gilbert says we call them ski masks around here. Yeah, it is a ski mask, but apparently it's a shiesty now. Yeah, I'm really hoping they didn't let him into the prom. Also, am I the only one who saw this and immediately said, bitch, where is my super suit? Because that's totally what I was going to do. And yeah, I looked in the thread and about 20 people made that exact joke. And yes, I know he doesn't say bitch, but in my mind, I remember him saying bitch very distinctly. And people make fun of my fashion sense. I dress like an absolute champ, not like this. Okay, let's get this cretin off my stream. Tony Gilbert says, Philly banned them all together. They'll fine you if you wear one. Like it's not cold in Philly. Yeah, I think that's a bit uncalled for, banning ski masks. Okay. In more pop culture news, there is a Twitter account I follow called Crazy Ass Moments in the Sonic the Hedgehog franchise. This is not about that. This is about another similar account, Crazy Ass Moments in the Transformers franchise. The thread went to discuss how Transformers only exists as a serious franchise due to the Reagan administration's deregulation of children's media, permitting advertisements. He then goes on to describe how there's an alternate timeline in which Transformers never existed because Ronald Reagan was murdered by the chimp during the filming of Bedtime for Bonzo. What happened? During production, Ronald Reagan was nearly suffocated by Bonzo the chimp when it grabbed his necktie and just yanked it really hard. It was so tight, as a matter of fact, that the tie had to be cut by a crew member in order to remove it. I'm just going to close my eyes and think about the timeline we could have had for a second. Yes, truly this is truck not monkey, as the Transformers fans say. Someone says, if I had a nickel for every time a monkey almost caused a world-changing event, I'd have 2 nickels. The other nickel being that the Greeks lost the Greco-Turkish war because of a monkey bite. I gotta look that up now. Okay, let's see. On October 2nd, 1920, Prince Alexander of Greece was walking through the grounds of the Tatoi estate. There's a domestic Barbary ape belonging to the steward of the palace vineyards was attacked by the king's German shepherd dog. He attempted to pull the animals apart. Another monkey deeply bit Prince Alexander. Okay, he got infected by the monkey bite, and he died. Okay, under the restored King Constantine I, who was the new successor now that Alexander died, okay, Greece went on to lose the Greco-Turkish War. They gained some territory, but it was lost. Winston Churchill wrote, "It is no exaggeration to remark that 250,000 people died from a monkey bite." So yeah, the monkeys just ruining things for everybody, aren't they? Okay, Kusama says, it's worse than me wearing my Viking tune to the prom. Tony Gilbert says, it's not wrong, but they ripped off GoBots. How about the Germans losing a submarine because they flushed the toilet wrong? I was not aware of that. And finally, we get to the title story. Hong Kong actor Leung Siu Leung, a.k.a. Bruce Leung, passed away on January 18th at the age of 77. Okay. Mr. Leung was perhaps best known to American audiences, very select American audiences, as Bruce Leung. He was, of course, one of many fake Bruce Lees that were put into movies after the death of the real Bruce Lee, during that delightful little period called Bruceploitation. Okay, so Bruceploitation went from 1973 to about 1980 or so. And, yeah, it basically went until Jackie Chan started getting famous with the success of things like The Drunken Master and Snake and the Eagle Shadow, where they realized that we could just step away from this, fake Bruce shit. Yes, there were many fake Bruce Lees. There was Bruce Lee, Bruce Tai, Bruce Le, Bruce Lee with an I, Lee Bruce, Dragon Lee, Bronson Lee, Bruce Leia, and of course, Bruce Leung. Bruce Leung is best known for the most idiotic reason you can imagine. He was the star of The Dragon Lives Again, a movie that is so stunningly offensive that it honestly kind of loops around and becomes kind of cool. It is a story in which Bruce Lee goes to the Chinese underworld of DU and has to sort of save Yama, the Lord of Hell, from an evil, soul conspiracy. Okay. So, yeah, he offers, anyway, it ends with, I'm skipping to the ending here. Yes, for those of you not aware, DU, the Chinese underworld, is basically like a shittier version of Earth, but there's like demons and monsters and such. Anyway, the story is about Bruce Lee fighting his way through hell alongside people like Popeye the Sailor Man, Kwai Chang Caine, Chinese Clint Eastwood. No, I'm sorry, take that back. The One-Armed Boxer. The bad guys are criminals like Chinese Dracula, not Chinese James Bond, some random English guy who they call James Bond, Zatoichi, Chinese Clint Eastwood, Chinese Godfather, Emmanuel, the French girl who has a lot of sex, and, there's mummies. Okay. So anyway, the bad guys want to overthrow Yama, but, which he helps him fight them, but he also doesn't like the king being an abusive shit-ass, who then he starts fighting Bruce Lee himself. So it's a three-way dance. So the king basically promises to give Bruce anything. Bruce Lee says, just let me go back to Earth and be good to, the dead people. And everybody wishes him back home. The end. Of this cast, the guy who played Popeye is really the only one who went on to success. He still acts in Hong Kong. He has won 3 awards. Okay. Kiyosama says it's C-Punk Messiah. Yeah, I figured, actually. Okay, looking at the comments here. Let me just go up a bit. Okay, Tony Gilbert says, hell no, Bruce Leung died. He was one of the Bruces. The rip-offs in the 70s. I thought we didn't notice. All the black kung fu movies. Those were good. Yeah, I like Black Belt Jones, Last Dragon, stuff like that. But yeah, the Bruceploitation thing was like anybody who remotely resembles Bruce Lee just put on like the tracksuit and do the wata, and just hope nobody notices. Including No Retreat, No Surrender, Jean-Claude Van Damme's first starring role, where he played the bad guy who has 2 names for no reason at all. He's supposed to be a Russian. He makes no effort to sound Russian. It's about a American scamp living in the suburbs who's mentored by the ghost of Bruce Lee, played by some guy who looks nothing like Bruce Lee. Shinseki Evans says Bruce Leung is more well known for Kung Fu Hustle now. Okay, I'm going to say something a bit shameful here. I've never actually seen Kung Fu Hustle. I own Kung Fu Hustle, just never gotten around to watching it. Tony Gilbert says Jackie Chan saved Hong Kong cinema. If he didn't come along, who knows what would have happened. Yeah, I mean, Jackie Chan, he did, like, fake Bruce Lee movies himself. You know, he wanted to do, like, his, slapsticky stuff. But the director's like, no, you gotta do, like, you gotta do, like, pointing and, like, scowling and, like, rib flexing. And Jackie Chan's like, I'm 19 years old, sir. I'd look like an idiot doing this. Tony Gilbert also says Kung Fu Hustle 2 is coming out. Okay. Q Sama says this movie sounds insane. Yes, I'm not going to lie. I do really like The Dragon Lives Again. It is hot garbage, but it's entertaining garbage. Okay. Oh, here's Wikipedia has a list of Bruceploitation actors. Bruce Lee with an I, Bruce Chang, Bruce Lai, Bruce Le, Bruce Lai, Bruce Leung, Sarah Lee, Bruce Lai, L-Y, Bruce Tai, Bruce Lee, Brute Lee, Myron Lee, Lee Bruce, Dragon Lee. And then sometimes they would just take, like, movies that had nothing to do with Bruce Lee, but dub them into English as Bruce Lee movies, like Bruce Leia and Bronson Lee. Okay, let's see. And then there's also the Clones of Bruce Lee, which is about literal cloning of Bruce Lee, played by fake Bruce Lees. Okay, also, incidentally, there's a pretty funny movie from 1980 called They Call Me Bruce, with a question mark, not to be confused with the other They Call Me Bruce, or My Name is Bruce with Bruce Campbell. Yeah, it's basically They Call Me Bruce is a pretty funny movie. It's about this Chinese dude who's just like a kind of average Joe, and he gets roped into like a mafia conspiracy just because everybody assumes, as a Chinese guy, he must be a kung fu master. So he basically has to like kind of bluff his way through. So it's pretty funny, actually. I recommend it. Okay. So yeah, here's a partial list of Bruceploitation films. Okay, The Pig Boss, not The Big Boss. Game of Death with an exclamation point. Okay, I'm not going to read all these. Okay, Bruce Lee Fights Back from the Grave. Exit the Dragon, Enter the Tiger. Dragon Lives Again. Fist of Bruce Lee. Enter the Game of Death. Fist of Fear, Touch of Death with Fred Williamson. There's a Game of Death 2, which I actually really like. Game of Death 2 is sort of like in the same box as Dragon Lives Again. It's just this farcical nonsense, but it's kind of entertaining. Oh yeah, also what helped was 5 Deadly Venoms came out, which kind of made news stars. Okay. Let's see. And then this article is actually pretty interesting. It kind of goes on to describe the influence of video games, like the Bruce Lee game in 1984, which I actually really like a lot. And so on and so forth. Okay, see, yes, the guy who played the ghost of Bruce Lee in No Retreat, No Surrender was a Korean man, Kim Tae-chung. Okay. But yeah, Game of Death 2 was actually pretty fun. it's basically, tries to, do the same plot, but instead of going up into a pagoda, he goes down into a 5-level basement. Oh, and he also fights, like, cavemen and, like, weird lion men, and there's, like, a vampire guy, and there's, like, electric floors and stuff. It's a lot of fun in a stupid sort of way. I recommend it. Okay. Tony Gilbert says they made some crazy movies, like The Master of the Flying Guillotine. Yeah, that's some good stuff. All the Jimmy Wang Yu movies, which literally, Master of the Flying Guillotine literally was basically the basis of Street Fighter, including an Indian man played by a Chinese man in blackface. Okay. The Muscles from Brussels, coke did him in. I mean, he got off the cocaine. He's better now. He can still do the splits and stuff. Q-sama says they can never get the Bruce Lee screams right. Apparently it's impossible to match the intense battle cries Lee did. It's a fun fact. Bruce Lee only started doing that around 1970 or so. He didn't do that, like, any time before that. If you watch, like, Green Hornet and stuff, he wasn't doing that. Q-sama says Dragon Lee was always my favorite fake Bruce Lee. I mean, I gotta say, like, Bruce Leung is probably my favorite just because I like his movie the most. I mean, I would say probably Bruce Lee with an I is probably the one who kind of looked the part the most. But yeah, I'm always going to have to give it up to, Bruce Leung. Shinsuke Evans says there was recently a Bruceploitation documentary with a box set of those movies. Oh, I got to look that up. So let me just look that up right now. Okay, so there's a book, The Kung Fu Clones, which is about all these guys. Okay. There's another book by an Australian fellow, Re-Enter the Dragon, Bruceploitation, the Sleazy Joys of Lowbrow Cinema. And the hell with it, I'll just look it up. Oh yes, there's The Game of Clones, the Bruceploitation 7-disc special edition for $121. Okay, let's see. 12 restored Bruceploitation classics, the documentary Enter the Clones, a book, and 23 combined hours of special features. Okay, let's see. This is volume 1. Okay, let's see. Okay, let's see what we have. We have Enter the Clones of Bruce, the documentary, Clones of Bruce, Enter 3 Dragons, Enter the Game of Death, Goodbye Bruce, The Last Game of Death, Dragon Lives Again, not to be confused with The Dragon Lives, Bruce's Iron Finger, Challenge of the Tiger, The Cameroon Connection, Super Dragon, Dragon Hero, and Rage of the Dragon. Fun fact, Quentin Tarantino says he prefers the fake Bruce Lees to the real Bruce Lee. And reading the Twitter thread, apparently some other people feel the same way. Not sure I agree with that, but I do think there is value in the fake Bruces. Tony Gilbert says they did that a lot. I was pissed finding they lost Bruce movie and it wasn't him. Okay, yeah, the shit they got away with back in the day. 5 Deadly Venoms is a classic. Yes, it's actually a very good movie. I have that on DVD. Bronson Lee was actually Japanese. Q-sama says Bruce Lee's most terrifying foe yet was the furries. Yes, in Game of Death 2, there is literally like some kind of like weird humanoid lion man that attacks Bruce Lee. And then there's also a guy literally like dressed like Fred Flintstone. He's like a caveman wearing like a singlet. And then there's like a guy who drinks blood. I mean, he's technically not a vampire, but he's kind of a vampire. Honestly, I would say, like, if you want to watch, like, Bruceploitation movies, you got to watch Dragon Lives Again, and Tower of Death. Those are my favorites. Okay, C-Punk Messiah says, Dragon Lee did a really silly ripoff of Fist of Fury where the main villain looks like Japanese Hitler. Tony Gilbert says that fucking hack Tarantino would say that. He pisses me off. Yeah, I mean, I like Tarantino's work, but the guy can be a jackass sometimes. Like, it's like, no, Selma, I'm telling you, I need to pour this wine down your leg and lick it off your feet, okay? It's for the film, okay? Thanks. Can we get a stomach to do this? No, Diana, I need to choke you personally. A little suspicious there, Quentin. Okay, C-Punk Messiah says, Trash got a collab between Bruce Lee and Kurata or Sonny Chiba. I mean, I think it's tragic that we never got that Hanna-Barbera Bruce Lee cartoon. Which he was in talks to do shortly before his death. I mean, would he have had his own cartoon? Would he have collaborated with Scooby-Doo? I mean, I think it probably would have been like, they would have done like one of those new Scooby-Doo movies with Bruce Lee first. You know, do a collab, test the waters as a pilot, and then he'll do his own thing. I mean, I highly doubt it would have been Bruce Lee doing his own voice. You know, just bring in Dawes Butler or someone like that, and we'll just he'll do the voice. But still, I think it would have been fun. So yeah, that does it for my prepared remarks. You can say your last pieces now if you want. Tony Gilbert says, Hanna-Barbera would basically do anything for money. Yes, they sure would. They sure would. Also, fun fact, I had to tell my wife once about the 21 not Scooby-Doos that they made. And she found that whole story very amusing. It's like, by God, we've got a formula and we're going to milk it. Well, technically, there was 19 Hanna-Barbera fake Scooby-Doos, and then Ruby Spears did, like, 2 of them. Shinseki Evans says, I'm glad somebody else knows who Dawes Butler is. Well, of course, I did not know who Dawes Butler is. He's a legendary voice actor. Also, he was Nancy Cartwright's mentor to getting into Hollywood. Nancy Cartwright, of course, being the voice of Bart Simpson. C-Punk Messiah says it would have been cool seeing Bruce in a Qing Dynasty period piece, like acting almost like Gordon Liu would have been something. I don't know if he would have ever done that. I mean, his whole thing was he wanted to kind of modernize and like make more realistic martial arts movies. I'm sure he would have been talked into it at some point. Tony Gilbert says they made a show without Scooby in it. LOL. Wait, they made a Scooby-Doo show without Scooby? I mean, I know that they did like the new Scooberts where they just got rid of everybody except for Scooby, Shaggy, and Scrappy, and then just a bunch of guest stars. I didn't know that they did non-Scooby Scoobies. Tony Gilbert says Jabberjaw is still good though. I mean, it's one of the better like fake Scoobies. So yeah, you can say your last pieces now, should you desire. Okay. Tony Gilbert says, I can't stand fucking Scrappy-Doo. I don't know. I'm gonna do a somewhat heterodox position here. I think he's okay in moderation, and I think most people would agree that he's okay in moderation. But like when they got rid of all the characters except for him, then that's where the problem is. And technically speaking, I think we could even throw in like that Mr. T cartoon into like the fake Scoobies. Okay, Seabung Messiah mentions Bruce occasionally toking up. I mean, I've heard he died of heat stroke personally. Yes, it did a lot of people in. Alright, so I think that does it for today. Okay, this has been Larsen Halleck for Larsen Halleck. All of you have a good day.